Hello and welcome back to Hexgrid Hangouts. This week I'm chatting with a member of the TTRPG community that I have long admired. Not just for the dope name, not just for the great voices of characters and the in-depth roleplay in their podcast, but they brought to life, or not brought to life, they converted the Kingmaker adventure path to 2nd edition, and it is hands down my favorite, well, that I know of. I haven't played most of them. But joining with me today is Derry from the Dice Will Roll podcast.
Hello. Before absolutely anything else, I do want to say we started converting that Kingmaker adventure path to 2nd edition. I think like 6 months before Paizo came along and said, guess what we're doing?
Yes.
I haven't been very public about it, but when I found out Paizo was going to do all the converting as well, I was so mad because I was
no.
This work I have been slaving away at is going to be done better by people who know what they're doing. My God.
Yes, I was there. I don't know if I was there day one, but I eventually found you.
You were there early. You were there very early.
Oh, okay. So I guess my reputation, such as it is, precedes me a little bit. I just, we all do our own thing, and when I find a podcast I love, I become a little bit of a super fan about it. So I didn't, and we haven't really chatted much. To be clear, I'm in the Discord. I lurk, tweet every now and then. But okay, so I guess I've been a long time fan.
Yeah, I think the reason I know is that you're one of our earliest Patreon supporters. So when we were just starting out, and we're like, oh my God, we got a new Patreon supporter, let's go! And then because we used to just instead of having a pre-record credits roll. Mm-hmm. I would just every episode re-record the credits roll. So I got very used to saying your name.
Yes, and you pronounce it correctly, so thank you so much
for
that.
Oh, hell yeah. That's always great to hear.
Okay. Ignorant American here. I almost said another English podcast, but there's the thing is, I'm good enough that I know that there's a distinction, but I'm bad enough that I still fumble over it. But I do it in a Midwestern American way where I put myself at your mercy. So I know how to play this game.
The difference is, if an American person does it, you know that they probably just haven't learned the exact sound, or if they do know, it's just not super familiar with them. That's fine. If an English person does it, it's colonization and it's war.
Yes, and
so
we are going to get into colonization and your feelings about it because I'm going to gush a little bit because yes, Kingmaker is a great fun story. It's a hex crawl. I enjoy it immensely, but your the political aspect, the striving for the calling out bullshittery, it's one of the many aspects that make your podcast just one of my damn all-time favorites. So yes, another podcast in your hemisphere of the world who all live in the England area. Croydon, I think. Cosmopunk mispronounced my name, and I love the cast dearly. They're all very I chat with most of them weekly, and for the longest time I just had to grit my teeth and yes, I know it's a pre-roll. I don't want to ask them to do more work to fix it, but Don Booley is only my Halloween name.
Fair enough,
yeah. So I guess since we know of each other well enough, how about, because there's a lot I wanted to talk to you about. You're here to promote a couple really big things, and the Dice Will Roll podcast does not need my little bit of signal boosting, but to be frank, I'm actually quite behind on Extinction Curse, so I have a lot of catching up to do. I've accumulated too many podcasts, and but your cast is great. Could you please give the listeners just a rundown of who you are, how you met, because your cast is one of the most tight knit that I listen to, and it's very endearing.
Well, see, the funny thing is I'm actually the outsider in this little group. the rest of the cast, Dave, Ritz, and Luna,
Mhm.
were all high school friends. They met like when they were about 14 because they all read Homestuck. And when you are a 14-year-old in like the 2012 era and you've read Homestuck, you've made a friend for life if you meet someone else who has read the same thing as you.
Mhm.
I came in a little while later. I befriended Dave, and eventually, I started dating him.
Mhm.
And from there, I met Ritz, and then I met KK. And then one day, Dave and I had been playing Pathfinder together for a while. We were in an Iron Gods campaign,
Mhm.
but there were a few problems in it. The GM not being super great was one of them. I also was not super enjoying being a player. So when stuff started to happen and we started to have less and less sessions, and eventually that petered out, I was like, I still like playing, so I'm gonna run something myself.
Mhm.
So I grabbed them, and it worked out. We played Carrion Crown, which is
Oh, yeah.
such a good one.
Yep.
I didn't know the rules at all. I literally, until the final boss, added level to damage for everyone, which I thought you were supposed to do it, and the paladin would just keep one-shotting everyone. I was like, "What am I doing wrong? I can't tell." Eventually, as we were gaming, we heard about the Pathfinder Second Edition playtest, and this was great because now I could learn the rules alongside everyone else, and I wouldn't be miles
Yes.
behind.
Mhm.
And I remember saying, "This is wonderful. I want to go listen to some podcasts about it."
Mhm.
And I kind of ran into the problem of all the people who were making podcasts for Pathfinder Second Edition were kind of all in the same like group of people. And I say this like, completely respectfully, but a lot of them were like middle-aged white American men who
Mhm.
probably had like wives and kids, right?
Mhm.
They were not really people that they're people I could understand in the way I could understand my dad, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and I feel for us there was a lot of there was a little disconnect, and we knew that this was a disconnect that a lot of other people in the TTRPG scene had, um, where we desperately wanted queer stories because all of us, it should be obvious works. Like we're all, again, we read Homestuck in the 2012s. I think that says enough.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, your podcast has the tagline that like when when people are recommending Pathfinder 2E podcasts, I'm not kidding. This isn't me blowing smoke. I literally say you should check out the gayest Pathfinder podcast on the planet. And and sometimes that's a bit of a litmus test to how they
Yeah.
react, which like is just good for me because now I'm like, okay, I am more or less a cishet white dude.
Mhm.
Well, I'm completely white dude. The
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
The other stuff is always like, even if you're sure,
Yeah,
there's always that maybe. Eh.
yeah, yeah.
I
There's that whole thing, but then like
Yeah.
I don't really because I can hang with all the cishet
Mhm.
white bros, but like I do have I'm a person that's changing and growing all the time, but, like
Yeah, of
so
course.
I don't really have, like, a test. I certainly don't gatekeep, but, like, when I
Mhm.
drop little nuggets and I see how people react, maybe I'm a sociopath, their responses tend to inform how I relate to that person going forward,
Mm.
and, in the TTRPG scene, we both are Paizoverse podcasters. Like
Mhm.
what drew me to Paizo over um the monolith over there
Mhm.
was the
Its show
representation.
which should not be named.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah. And so like okay, this that's what hooked me because that was my first real introduction to it, reading the books and seeing
Mhm.
how frequently pronouns, it wasn't the hero is always he, there
Mm.
was all this stuff. I didn't start playing until 2014. I'm
Mm.
actually 15,
Oh,
whatever.
I started in 2017, so you
Okay.
you don't even have to worry. I
Yeah.
am much newer than you.
Yeah, so I joined Pathfinder Society with some coworkers who got me
Mhm,
in, and, they were all very much like what you were saying. They were all middle-aged white dudes with families, and this was their fantasy night.
mhm,
And society play is great. Let me just
mhm,
say, Pathfinder Society is a great way to get into things. It's a great way to play around the world because I can take my character sheet literally anywhere
mhm,
where there's a
mhm,
Pathfinder Society game. But these guys had 10, and I mean guys, I'm not being dismissive.
mhm,
They had nearly a decade of memorizing these rules, playing these scenarios, playing the APs, and it got to I was like, it was intimidating because, they
mm,
weren't overtly gatekeepy, but just enough to where like, "Oh, I'm just a noob and I'm fine with being a noob." But then
mhm.
Starfinder was announced and coming out. So
Yep.
I very much did what you did with 2E, and I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna learn the system. I'm gonna know the system. They're going to ask me to explain starship combat to them." And, so it's funny how we had that similar, jumping on point. All
Mhm,
of that to say, your podcast is near and dear to me. Your
mhm.
your group also
Thank you.
near and dear to me. Thank you so much for what you put out there and how unapologetic it is. Because
Yeah.
I'm a guy who's like not as I don't push enough probably, but like you're you're here, you're queer. Everyone get used to it, like and subscribe. And
Literally, yeah. I think the reason being, like, we had discussed, we probably would get more people to listen to our show if we stopped talking about, like, how gay we were all the time. But at the same time, like, the audience that we want are people who don't really have like they like yes, we will allow anyone to listen to us, of course, but the audience that we wanted to attract most were people who didn't really have anything else they could connect to. And like thank God there are other shows now. I don't think the Gayest Pathfinder podcast on the planet is fair anymore because there are a lot of other ones now that have jumped up.
yeah.
But and I think to an extent we were like one of the first ones because I remember searching for it. And there's lots now, like shout out to
Mhm.
Gobs and Gays and Drunken Geek,
Yes.
etc., etc.
Mhm.
Fantastic stuff. We we all kind of fight for that title, but it it's something that wasn't there until people push for it, and
Yes.
now it
Yeah.
is.
Yep, and I saw the comments, I saw the responses to the comments, and
I
it's
think
just go
I
ahead.
think real fast. One of
Mhm.
my favorite things, really early when we were starting, was a message we got to our Facebook group.
Yes.
And oh, you've seen this, I'm sure. That
It's
yes was
it's
very Ricky.
it's yeah, it's near and dear to me because, like, it was brought up a couple times, and then just, like, I just see it and just, like, so tell the listeners who aren't,
It's basically, it was like a 4 paragraph long message
Mhm.
saying that they really wanted to like the show, but they weren't sure if we were joking about hating straight people and that we shouldn't be bigoted and this should be a place for everyone. And like it just got more and more like, why do you hate straight people? And the reason being was literally in the first episode, I made a joke saying, the straight people won't like that. And they took such huge offense to it for
Yes.
me even commenting on it, you know? It's like
Yes, why are you gatekeeping? Why are how dare
so I
you?
think that's solidified in our mind. We got to keep this going, not to
Yes.
make people like this uncomfortable, but to give people who also like to make straight people jokes. No offense if you're straight listening. I have straight friends.
So some of my best friends are straight friends, so
Yeah,
yeah,
some of
I
us.
get you. Yeah, yeah, and it's and kinda like what I was saying, like, it's a good litmus test, like, "Oh, you know what?
Mm-mm-mm.
We aren't going to be DM buddies. We're not going to, we're not gonna invite you to live listens. You just go to the next podcast. It's fine."
Yeah, it's helped the community stay extremely drama free, which is great.
Yes. So that was the introduction. So the group,
Mhm,
you, got it together, started you
mhm,
doing it.
mhm,
And I was listening, I didn't play any of the I was still trying to master
mhm.
Starfighter. I was still trying to make sure I had a good grip on Starfinder, and I was kinda counting on my other friends to do Pathfinder because that's that was their thing, that fantasy is more their thing, and, so I'm listening to you, I'm listen at the time, I think for me, it was just you and Wheeler Woe for as far as
Yeah.
Pathfinder 2E, uh, pre-launch playtest, 'cause, I heard about the AP you can play for the
Doomsday
playtest.
Dawn.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
heard how brutal
Ooh.
it was, and I'm like,
Ooh.
yeah, I didn't want it's like that thing, I didn't wanna get bad information in my head, and,
Mhm.
as I recall, the community I was still fledgling in the community, but just
Mhm.
hearing the vitriol at some points,
See, I think the thing is the story was decent. They
I
like I still like the story from Doomsday Dawn.
I have yeah,
Ah!
I
Oh
have
god!
I
The
have 0
mechanics.
yeah, I have 0 memory of the story at all because, all I can think of at that time was, uh, Mike, you still there?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I didn't touch my mouse for a bit, and, my or my monitors are going to nap.
Oh yeah, don't
Uh,
worry, it happens.
so, usually, I'm, like, pecking away, double checking, character sheets, but for this, I'm just vamping. So
Mhm.
it was all complaints about the mechanics is what I
Yeah.
heard. I don't remember the story at all. I would
Mhm.
love it. Do you know if they, like, went through and gave finalized rules to Doomsday Dawn, or is it just
Uh, no, Doomsday
hot mess?
Dawn was never. I think they updated like once because they
Mhm,
had like a couple of mistakes,
mhm.
but generally the point of Doomsday Dawn very much so was let's push these new rules that we're testing to the limits.
Yeah.
And people weren't really made aware of that necessarily. So they're
Oh,
like,
no.
wow, fun adventure. What the hell happened to my character?
Mhm.
What have you done to my boy?
Yep.
There, one of the chapters is quite literally, ah, you've made some Crusaders and Mendev, I see. We're going to put them through 7 rounds of 7 like waves of combat, and your characters will die. We just want to see how long it takes them to die. Um,
And there wasn't, so I wasn't a part of this. Was there not as much communication from the devs and stuff at the time?
No.
Oof, I see.
And there were also like some like spicy things that they did in the playtest, which like there was a lot of vitriol. I think a
Yeah.
lot of the reason that a lot of people don't like Pathfinder 2E these days is because they saw stuff from the playtest and were like, "What the hell?"
Yep.
Some just off the top of my head, there was some stuff like barbarians have to make a flat check at the end of each of their turns to keep raging. Um,
Oof.
God, there was a oh gosh, you could only use items a certain number of times per day depending on how many points you had, kind of like focus points for spells, but it's
Oh,
literally 4
everything.
items. And
Wow.
the champion was, well, it was the paladin at the very start. Ooh, ooh, they did not do a good job with the first champion. A lot of people were very upset with it. They
I do
did.
remember I remember Champion was one I remember that was
Mm.
a very loud one. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, the reason I did this whole playtest was to see what rules do people absolutely despise, and they got rid of them. And they did such a fantastic job that I remember opening up the core rule book and just being delighted by how clean it was. Like
Yeah.
it was so much better than the playtest. And the fact that they've been doing playtests for every new class since has been absolutely astounding. They've really been doing great.
Yeah, so I've only played probably less than a 20 sessions myself in PF2E, but in
Hmm.
Starfinder now, I think, after, the playtest of PF2E, we get, like, 2 or 3 playtest classes a year, and
Hmm.
it's a bit of a culture shock because people want to be heard, they want to
Hmm.
be really loud about it, and then when the final thing comes out, then you have well, the playtest was better, the playtest was worse,
Yep.
etc.
Yep.
So like it's I'm glad that it was a risky thing to do for a whole ass system. But
Hmm.
now that we've gotten as we as a community have gotten over that big hump, now when they just throw weird spellcasters that can do literally game breaking abilities, it's it's met with a little bit more reserve because
Hmm.
so okay back to your show, so why did you choose Kingmaker? Was there a special kinship you had to that one? Were there others that you tried and like, fuck that?
I actually, it's really funny that you mentioned that because yeah, there was.
Mm.
And this is going to be the most like this guy's making this shit up you'll ever hear. So we originally actually did play Doomsday Dawn.
Oh.
And we recorded, I think, up to the fourth chapter out of 5, and it was doing great.
Mhm.
And by doing great, I mean we were getting 11 like plays an episode, and that was enough for us. Um, and halfway through, one day, one of our players accidentally dropped his laptop,
Mm.
and the hard drive broke, and we only had half the episodes uploaded, and the other ones weren't all on the drive.
Oh, no.
So always back up your stuff on the drive unless
Yes.
yeah. Um, which was kind of a relief, I'll be honest. Like,
Mhm.
okay, his laptop broke, which did suck.
Yes.
But it was kind of a relief from a storytelling perspective because at this point we were like, hmm, this adventure is a meat grinder for people.
Yep.
And I remember, and this is the part where it sounds made up.
Mhm.
It was Christmas. It was Christmas, and I was sitting in a church, not for any religious reason, but I was watching my kid brother sing in a choir,
Mhm.
right? And Ireland is obviously very Catholic, so it's one of those big, fancy Catholic churches.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm kind of staring off into the mid distance, and this is like the future of Dice Roll is all that's on my mind. I'm like, maybe we won't get anywhere. And then, like, I swear to God, I
In
looked
his
at one of the
house.
stained. I was in the church and I look at the stained glass window and I'm thinking, isn't that Kingmaker video game like out? I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could cash in on that.
Yeah.
The answer was yes, we could cash in on that. I remember asking Owlcat Games, hey, we bought your game. Are we allowed to use your soundtrack? And they were like, yeah, just credit us. And
Yes.
which was so good of them, honestly. And we recorded about like 15 episodes before we start, and we put them on the drive this time.
Mhm.
And we started publishing them, and the reception to it was really good. And I think a lot of it was again because of the Kingmaker video game coming out.
Yes.
So
Yes.
anytime I am thinking now of like where did Dice Roll start, I don't ever think about like Doomsday Dawn. I think
Yeah.
about me sitting in a Catholic church, staring at a stained glass window, being like, "Huh, that's something we could do."
That is amazing and beautiful. So I knew about the Kingmaker game. I never got to play the first edition tabletop version of it.
Mhm,
And my tower at the time was pushing a decade old, so I wasn't playing that stuff.
mhm.
Um, so my introduction to the music was your guys' podcast, and I'm like, oh, it's so good. I'm like, I probably early message like, I love your soundtrack, or soundtrack, whatever term you're
Yeah.
supposed to
Yeah,
use.
yeah, that thing.
And I'm like, oh, it's so good. And I think it was probably you. You said, nope, from the game.
Yeah,
Thank you,
we didn't
Outcast
make this.
Games.
We have not a musical bone in our body.
And that was like, I'm like, I can't find this anywhere. And I'm a fledgling Starfinder podcaster. I'm like, I can't find this music. Why can't I have something like this? And then you got it from a video game. So by the time I got to play it in 2019 when it came to the PS4, I'm
Mhm.
playing it and it's like it just opens up and I just have a big shit-eating grin on my face as the main menu pops up and it's the Dice Will Roll soundtrack playing. And I'm like, it didn't inform how I played at all, because I was play testing a wizard boy I was going to be making.
Mhm.
But just hearing it, it never got old because like even when I was getting my ass kicked by hydras or whatever,
Mhm.
it was just like it always brought me back to your podcast, your story, and like when story bits would happen, I'm like, oh man, Dice Will Roll Gang, this isn't how this went down
Yeah.
at all. And it was just
There were some pretty big differences between the video game because like I also didn't finish the video game before
Mhm,
we finished the podcast. So
mhm.
going back and then playing it, I'm like, huh, that's not how that worked in the story.
No. But, it's just so damn good.
Mm.
Folks, I did not start my timer, so I don't know how long I've been on this tangent, but it's just so damn good. And you did it before the actual rules came out, and then there was the episode when the new rules did come out, and it
Oh my
was.
god.
I remember the excitement in everyone's
Hmm.
excitement, consternation. I believe it was Ritz saying, "Oh, that's just stupid." Uh,
Okay, the reason being was that a spell Ritz really liked and had been saving
yeah.
was no longer on the bard spell
Okay.
list.
I'm
And
glad.
Ritz was literally about to put it into use. And I was like, oh, King, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Oh. Yep. Yep. Oh man, I'm so glad like I can make these like I remember this and it was a thing for you. 3
Yep.
years? 2 years?
It must be
'Cause
2 years
I just hit
ago,
my 3rd
maybe.
year and
What
you're
year
you
is it?
it's 2021.
Hmm. I think it's 2 years, maybe a year for that particular scene.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Oh
yeah, because you
god.
were
Yeah, it
you
must
were
be around
well
then.
into it. Yeah, you were well
Mm.
into it when the final books were finally
Yep.
shipped, and there was an episode or 2 before like, hopefully next week we have it," and it wasn't for a couple times, but yeah, it was just, so good, such a great
Mhm.
story, and like, I listen to other podcasts play, Adventure Paths, and everyone does a great job. I listen to way too many Pathfinder AP podcasts. But yours, like everyone, and this isn't putting anyone down to lift you up. Just is just lifting you up at the level of detail that everything was connected. The smoothness of weaving in. Oh no, 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 the king.
Iravetti?
Iravetti.
Or
Oh yeah,
yeah.
just oh, it's
In
just
fairness, that's not just me, that's my players at the like, in the background being
sure,
like,
of course, yeah.
"How can I have my backstory involved?" And me, like, monkey's
Yes.
paw curling. "Sure, why not?"
Yes. The Erastal stuff is
Mm.
just okay. I'm gonna drop some. I played with telling this or not, but I'm having such a good time. I'm gonna let it. No one but maybe 4 people in the world know this.
Mhm.
I am the person behind the Erastal Twitter account.
Oh! Oh my
So
god!
there were times I would be listening to you all play, and uh, I as a Rastal, I would like
You would! You'd
I
be like,
would
"Well done, Casca," and I'd be like, "Hell yeah!"
yes.
I remember like, we talked about this with, like, the listeners being like,
Yep.
"This Erascal Twitter account is a huge Casca fan," and I remember, like, trying to, like, figure out who the hell could it be? It was a whole
Yeah.
mystery for a while. Oh my god, that is
Yeah. For the people that'll listen, I guess, the mask is off, the stag head is off. Yeah, and this is also not blowing smoke. I chose a Rastal when people were like divvying up. I want to be this one. I'm like, I'm more of a nature guy, and I'm like, dice will roll. I want to be a Rastal. I'm not kidding at all. So
Oh my
I'm
god.
not as active on it as I'd like to be. I try to get in there and I search the name, and it's fun. It's just a fun little
Mhm.
role play thing that I got to
Yeah.
do, and I never meant to tell anyone, but this conversation is going too well that I couldn't take up
You couldn't keep it, I mean, honestly, I'm the rest of the cast is going to know fairly soon.
yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, because they're gonna be so thrilled to know who it was.
Yes, yes. Just like I would listen to an episode and then I would like make sure that Don or Hexgrid Heroes hadn't tweeted in a while because if I link if if 3 accounts are tweeting because at my 3 in the morning is when I'm listening to you all.
Mhm.
If 3 accounts are tweeting at around the same time, I always feared people were like, oh, I can tell by his their text
I
patterns.
can guarantee I would not have put 2 plus 2 together either way.
Awesome, cool. And I would like make sure I don't use contractions when I'm a Rastal and like all this but yeah, hi, I'm a Rastal. So and it's partly thanks to you, and it's fun.
Mhm.
So Kingmaker, I'm geeking out a little bit.
You're good, you're good.
Great show, great finishing. It was I probably got choked up more in your guys' podcast than any other podcast, and there are some real tear jerkers out there.
Mhm.
But just so many close calls. It really felt like I was at your table, which now 4-ish years into making them myself, it's like podcast goals. So very well done. And then you switched to Extinction Curse.
That's right, yeah.
So I don't even know how far behind I am. I'm fine
Mhm.
with if you want to like if it's public knowledge and you've tweeted it and I've ignored it.
Yeah. No,
Uh,
no, I'll keep
how's
big spoilers quiet.
okay? How are you liking Extinction Curse? Because I'll be honest, when I heard like the first couple episodes, I'm like, oh, this is awesome, a circus, and then
Mhm.
like the cast is so good, the characters are so good. I as a person am not in love with circuses, just like they don't
That's
like
fair.
it's like Disney it's like Disney
Mhm.
World to me. It's like I get it, but it just doesn't but the characters I stick around for. So how are you
Mhm.
liking it and how far into it are you by now?
Oh god. Well, I'd say, near the midpoint of book 5, so we're, like,
Oh
pretty deep
wow.
in at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm having the time of my life.
Yeah.
I'm the exact opposite. I absolutely adore circuses.
Okay.
Um, I think, I feel the reason that like we're so into circuses is and I'm not bringing up the gay card because but I think it's a whole thing the same way as like how in when we're playing tabletop we get to like lose ourselves in this world of fantasy. It's the
Mhm,
same kind of thing of like lose ourselves and just be kind of amazed by like how these traveling performers can do these really cool things.
mhm.
um it does help, and I don't know if this is a spoiler, this is a really early spoiler. It does help that the bad guys are a dinosaur cult.
Yeah, not so much getting it from you, but definitely from the art I've seen of the AP. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's fine there. Yeah, yeah.
there's a lot of dinosaurs, and I'm a big dinosaur fan.
Yeah,
So
and
I for the first 10 episodes, did not. I told them there was something cool coming, but I did not say what. For the first 10 episodes, the party were like, okay, it's a circus adventure. Oh, what's
yeah.
going on? Cool murder mystery, you know? Who killed X person? And it
Mhm,
wasn't the dinosaurs who killed him, but one thing leads to another, and eventually it becomes, or pretty soon it becomes pretty clear that
mhm,
the bad guys in Extinction Curse are an underground cult of demon worshipping dinosaur people.
mhm.
And that rules so hard.
Yes, I did get to
Um,
that part, and that helped me because, in like, and the way you portray the circus is great to continue
mm,
gushing. The mechanics around, like, oh, you know what? There was the first, I think it was the first or second episode, like, you may fail this performance, and you may get like booed off, and that's the podcast. You're not circus performers anymore, something to that effect. And I was
to an
like,
extent, it's just you wouldn't make your money, which sucks because
exactly, yeah,
money
yeah.
money is good.
Yeah, 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 but you were playing up the fact like, okay, this is your first performer and you're gonna have to do this a lot. And so it was good, and you all helped me like latch on where I normally wouldn't. But yeah, the
Mhm.
dinosaur cult really opened up.
Really? Yep. Yep, the
Yep.
dinosaur cult does it. Like, circus good. A lot of people complain about the dinosaur cult. They're like, this doesn't fit with a circus campaign. You should have just focused on the. Are you kidding me? The thing that's best about this campaign is how wild and weird it is. You've
Yep.
got like, oh yeah, so what are you guys up to right now? Like in episode 60. Oh, we're in an underground radioactive desert and there's worms and also like a city of undead drow. And what does that have to do with the circus?
Yep. Yeah, and because
Uh,
I did just listen to 6 books of We Are Making a Kingdom. We may hand wave some of the kingdomy bits.
mhm.
Most podcasts that a couple of the podcasts that have talked about, just in passing playing it, like, oh yeah, I listened to Goblins and Gambles, and they're a Canadian group playing Kingmaker, and they're like, "Oh, we don't actually like the kingdom
Mm.
monitoring stuff," and that's fair. So when I hear the first couple episodes of Dice Will Roll doing circus, I think, "Oh, is it going to be all circus?" Throwing in dinosaurs, throwing in
Yep.
anything for me was, and dinosaurs was just beautiful and and the
Mhm.
art is just so good. So,
It's very good,
so
yes.
you said
Our
you're
art is
60
really
episodes in?
Yep, we literally
Nice.
just published episode 60 yesterday, which
Ah, very
is
nice.
nuts.
Yeah. So okay, I'm good. So I'm spurred on to get back in and find out how
Mhm.
far behind I am because
Yeah, don't fret
your
too
group
much. I
is
think
just
the circus happens maybe once a book, except for
oh
one book where it happens a lot,
okay,
because they're on tour, and
sure.
we try to make it more of a role play thing than anything else.
Hmm.
But a lot of like, if you aren't like you, if you're not super into circus stuff,
Hmm.
there's a lot more going on. Like the
Awesome.
circus is their day job,
Yeah.
and kind of like the team that brings them together.
Hmm.
But like the actual things that are going on are like, without spoiling anything, and yes, I mean I've mentioned the dinosaur cult, but that's not they're it's I guess the best way of like describing it without any spoilers is very much so reckoning with like with colonization to it always comes back to this, to
Yes,
colonization,
of
and
course. Yeah.
to just because we are here now, the things that brought us to this point weren't always necessarily good things.
Hmm.
How do we reckon with the past of the world that we're in?
I love
And
that.
I can't. That sounds very vague, but considering this is a island which was created by a dead god, and said dead god was once beloved, but things he's done have come to light, and those things were not always good things.
Is it Aridin?
Um, it's Aridin.
Goddamn Aridin.
There's a lot of Aridin in this one, and
I
he's
as a rastal, I take great delight in like, oh, are you still dead? So like there was a thing about like people are coming back to life or whatever, or like just like
mm,
I don't know who is behind all the other deities. I know a
mm.
couple, but like Aridin takes it on the chin, and I appreciate that. So cool. Oh man, I'm so excited. And yeah, the
Yeah.
mysterious, vague way you described it there is just like that's what I need to like
Mhm.
get back
Yeah,
in.
it's
So
it's not all just like party poppers and trapezes, you know?
yeah.
Like reason they are going out on this journey to figure out this like ancient conspiracy by again a cool dinosaur
Mhm.
cult. They have something that they want to protect, and it's not just a random village that they're from. It's like basically a family who also do cool flips sometimes.
Cool. That's awesome. Okay, so going off of the colonization thing and everything going back to it and how out and
Mhm.
how I say aggressive in a good way. People should aggressively be attacking these issues because
Mhm.
that's what this company we all do a
Mhm.
lot of emotional labor for not as much as people or nothing in some people's cases.
Mhm.
So Paizo has I talked a little bit about how it ensnared me with this promise of like this is different, this is better, this
Mhm.
is a better way of, and so this is going to go out probably within 2 weeks. I want to.
Mhm.
I have a couple other interviews that are a little time sensitive, but because of
Mhm.
everything
Mhm.
going on and that we're talking about uh, Paizo accountability, I don't care if uh, the episodes take a little break. We just finished a big combat. People, listeners can listen to me talk to some people a couple weeks. So um, Paizo accountability is
Mhm.
I don't know who started the hashtag. Was it you? Did you start it?
Uh, kind of. There's a whole thing to it, but yeah, I was the first person to like put out a tweet being like, "Hey,
You
accountability,
absolutely were.
please."
Yes, absolutely. So I'm gonna shut up for a bit because I'm a few days behind on the news
Mhm.
cycle, as it were. So if you wouldn't mind, in your much better, eloquently put way, catch the folks up on what's going on at Paizo. I talked about it in I had a chat with Crifu Bernal this week.
Mhm.
This will go up after his chat. So we do get into it a little bit, but
Mhm.
you have been championing and spearheading a lot of the push, and it's helping people like me. Just speaking for myself, it's helping me push, but also temper my my
Yeah.
my my snark.
The rage. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because the snark is just a coping mechanism for the rage, is what I tell
Mhm.
myself. So yeah, please enlighten the folks.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you've listened to the last episode, you probably know the gist of it. But to recap, um, a little while ago, an employee was let go from Paizo, and the circumstances for that firing were, well, we can't really know because unfortunately Washington is an at-will state, and that's where Paizo is. But we there was a lot of internal rumblings about that, to the point where another former Paizo employee um, essentially released a list of allegations against Paizo, ones which ranged from not caring about the health of the workers and forcing them to work in unhygienic circumstances, to sexual harassment allegations, to just insensitivity all around. Um, like, despite like claiming to be champions of like diversity
Mhm.
and help disabled people, there were like also allegations of like, oh well, let's put in some madness and insanity rules because those aren't like in poor taste yet, but they will be soon, so let's get them out of the way while we still can, which is terrible. Like, that's, it's not good.
Yes.
And of course as well the fact that they're being paid pretty abysmally. So when all this happened, I was pretty stunned and shocked. And I'll like, to be perfectly candid, I was really hurt. This was something that we'd put a lot of work into. I'd spent so much time talking about how great Paizo was. I even talked earlier about how Paizo has done good things in his very interview. Um, so to find out that behind the scenes they were not at all upholding these things that they were saying, in fact, going against some of the things that they have claimed,
Mhm.
was, it was distressing.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, well, shit, is this the end? Because
Yeah.
I don't want to support them if I think we're not going to be able to make a change. And a lot of people in the Dice World Discord talked about how, yeah, I'm probably not going to buy any more Pathfinder books. And I just thought about, yeah, okay, it'll screw the executives over, and that's great. I don't want the higher management who are causing all these problems to get, richer and richer.
Yes.
But at the same time, I was thinking, well, shit, what about the developers? What about people like Luis Loza
Mhm.
or AVK or any of these other people who are using this platform that they will not get anywhere else? You think for a second that Dungeons and Dragons, the other one, the other big one,
Yeah.
will allow you to tell stories about Native people from a Native perspective, or to tell stories where, hey, maybe the attempts to not be racist are more than surface level.
Yeah.
The idea that like that would happen, it was unfathomable to me. And I
Yep.
knew that they wouldn't be able to make it on their own. Like, being a TTRPG writer is not exactly a lucrative business.
Yep.
Um, and it wasn't until as I was talking about, like, there's a Discord that a lot of the Paizo partners are in, and other content creators, and a few of us got to talking about like how we just did not agree with this at all, and trying to figure out, well, what do we do?
Mhm.
And in the Dice for Roll Discord, there are some people that I put out a, if you know anyone who wants to like get a word in, send them my way. And those people sent it other people, and those other people sent it other people. And by the end of the day, we had a couple of people who had or have, or either present or past tense, worked in Paizo, and they kind of worked with us, both freelancers and current slash past employees,
Mhm.
to say, well, these are the issues we have as the employees, and these are the things we want fixed. Um, and some of the stuff like didn't really get mentioned by them. They didn't really, like, obviously the fact that Paizo did out and go confirm the fact that they just didn't wash their carpets for 7 years. They did say that, like, they confirmed that. They didn't have to confirm it, but they did, which is weird choice. But they did, come forward and put together a list of these are things that need to change.
Yeah.
And that's what the Paizo accountability hashtag started about. I came forward with a list that had been made with the collaboration of these people to talk with Paizo and say, other content creators, this is what we need to push. This is what people inside want. This is what we need. We can either the path goes two ways, right? You go left, and you're gonna have no more Paizo. We stop supporting Paizo. We stop supporting Pathfinder, Starfinder, and sure, the executives get screwed over, but
Mhm.
then so do the developers, and they'll be the first to go, right?
Yes.
And that means the inclusive stories that we've been getting, characters like there's an agender Tengu in Fist of the Ruby Phoenix.
Mhm.
There's a bisexual vampire in Agents of Edgewatch. Like, and these aren't like, it's not played to be weird. It's just played like, oh yeah, that's what they are.
Mhm.
That wouldn't happen anymore. That's gone.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And
Or we champion for employee rights. We say this is what
yes.
people want and this is what people need. So let's fight for that. And that has made people turn from, well, to hell with it, we're burning it all down, to be like, okay, if we fight for that, if we fight for the things that we need to have done, we can, to an extent, not worry about throwing away our babies, you know?
Yes.
And that's what we've been doing. We didn't even come up with the Paizo accountability hashtag. We
Mhm.
like suggested a hashtag, but it was other people who like came together and then were like, well, who wants to take the first shot? And
Mhm.
Dice Roll has a sizable audience, so I was like, fuck
Yes.
it, right? We'll do
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And now everyone's saying it was our idea. I'm like, no, no, this is community efforts. Don't put it on us. It's
Yes.
everyone.
Yep. Yeah, it was very encouraging like that when it all started popping like I knew about some of the stuff going on like last year when one of the people was talking about some of the stuff that goes on and I
Mm-hmm.
thought this conversation was all going to happen last year specifically around sexual harassment charges
Mm-hmm.
with the Me Too movement and stuff. So like I saw the tweets, I screenshot them, not unlike a sociopath.
No,
Um
you're good. Like
because
much like someone who knows this is going to become important later.
yeah, so I had them and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm prepared, you know, I and then nothing happened with it. It just got
Mm-hmm.
ignored. And then this happened and like I didn't think nothing was ever going to happen. But when it all came out, it came rushing back and all the other stuff that was coming up.
Mm-hmm.
It bowled me over for a few days because I'm not a partner. My
Mm-hmm.
audience is modest. I love them all dearly for putting up with whatever level of jackass I bring to the table each week. Uh but like I put my name out there. Don Bewley is my name on social
Mm-hmm.
media everywhere when I'm not Hex Grid Heroes or spoiler Erastil. But like I put and the betrayal, like I didn't feel I can empathize. I think that's the right one.
Mm-hmm.
Not an English major.
You're good. No, it is the right word.
Okay, cool. I can empathize with the developers who put their name out there and put their presence out there. Our show has befriended Jason Tondro.
Mm-hmm. Oh, love Jason.
He's so goddamn
He's
good.
he's such a sweetheart.
Oh, and he is like he's out there. He is pushing for people to keep talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Krifu Bernal of the Manapot Studios network. He wanted to stream our conversation on his Twitch. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll be on camera. Um, and Tandro tuned in and he was encouraging us to keep talking about it and doing all this stuff. And so, like, I think about people like him. I've ran him in games for people. I've like and that's just like I haven't availed myself of getting to know people. Like I see people promoting other people's names and I'd like to change that of course now that everything's going on and I want to fight next to them, but I never
Mm-hmm.
felt like I had enough ownership. But like I not that my time and money is worth anything more than anyone else's, but like I have dumped hundreds
Mm-hmm.
dollars, hours, tears, sweat, sitting in my cramped office, sweating my rear off, trying to trying to have at least passable audio quality, and then like all of that betrayed the promise of all the being on the good side, being the good TM company.
Mhm.
uh it like I went silent for a bit. I would retweet, but I wouldn't be able to say anything because then I would just lash out at people who were having the privilege of very successful Patreon accounts and not saying a damn word other than
Mhm.
legalese, cute little Twitter posts. And
Yep.
I took a couple swings. I didn't name any
Mhm.
names, but I mean,
For sure.
and I realized like
It's yeah.
I
There have been
wasn't.
people that you're looking at like, "Man, it would be great if you could say anything," you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't say. It's your platform, but like it's telling, but it's also like it's a weird thing, and I realized that my 4 tweet thread wasn't a drop in the bucket compared to what other people were saying. Like, okay, cool, I'll just gonna cool off over here and rally and do what I can where I can, rather than just swinging like the cornered animal that I was. And he's got a full name. So uh Cody Garrett Wells is an
Mhm.
account I wasn't familiar with at all before this. And their tweet threads have been instrumental in me catching my friends up and my fans,
Yeah.
like, like, what's going on, you okay, why you I had some messages and I'm like, oh, I'm fine. Here's the situation much better put than I'm going to say it, because I'm
Yeah.
going to say it poorly, and I'm not the best salesman when it comes to things, because I feel and I think, sure, I'm a thinker, but like when I feel, I turn off the think and
Yeah.
I
That's
just
completely fair.
I just start pecking away. Cody Garrett Wells has been a great resource for threads, catching people up. I watched the 2.5 hour video that I already knew everything about it, but I still watched it because someone was saying the things. He's come out and put out a couple more regular videos about, Paizo needs to update, Paizo needs to get with it. This is
Mhm.
the situation we're at, and it feels so damn good that that by and large, the developers, the writers, the artists that we all champion and have conversations with, not a week goes by that I don't shoot Jason Tondro, because I'm running Fly for Your Die AP, and like
Mhm.
my group is chaotic.
Yep.
Uh, so like I'll just throw just a little thing like, "Hey, I really appreciated this."
Mhm.
So him specifically, but other people I've reached out to. I've had Alex Ogunas on here. He was one of the freelancers brought in to help finalize Starfinder, because that's where my focus is. So I've gotten to know these people, and it just feels so good that it is. So in our homebrew camp, my Starfinder homebrew podcast, that you can check out wherever you get podcasts. Um, one of the like big bads, one of the running themes is a couple of my players really hate Abadar Core.
Yeah, I
They
can't
really
imagine why.
they really hate capitalism, and I'm like it just feels so good, like to see the other people, like it is the capitalists that's the problem.
Mhm.
It's those people, it's the head honchos. I I'm not going to get into all the charges on them because there are much better resources for that, but like, it's the people at the top that are bad,
Mhm.
and it's the people that uh uh live not live in squalor, but they if you're going to be in TTRPGs, it's strongly encouraged, even if it's not Paizo, Seattle area is where to be.
Mhm.
So it ain't cheap living there, from
Yeah.
all accounts I've heard. So these people, they leave academia, they leave these big careers and go to this for their dream of telling stories
Mhm.
with this mission statement, and to have them have been carrying this for years just breaks my dumb little heart.
Yeah,
and
no, it really is.
and that's why I push. I'm like, okay, they've given me so much, not even personally. They've put out so much. Like if I'm not going to go for a Star Wars metaphor. I tried to do a Star Wars metaphor last interview and it bombed terribly. But like the people doing the thing that I love, literally love. Like this is why I take this is why I work a crap overnight shift job that pays moderately well so it can afford me the opportunity to do stuff like this comfortably. Uh TTRPGs are my love. And it's just it broke my heart, but then let myself feel that. And now it's time to strap on the medium leather armor and fight for it.
Yeah. I mean, really, it really is that, or just let things be bad. And we are lucky. It's bad on one hand that Paizo is a small company because they're having difficulty paying people the wage that
Yes.
they are owed. But on the other hand, it's good that they're a small company because they're more likely to listen to us when we raise up our fists and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
stop that."
Yep.
Um, I think one thing that I've seen a lot of people talking about, and I think is something that probably should be pushed a little more into hashtag, is if they can't afford to pay Paizo people better, which is understandable if they are a small company, and they're not going to leave Seattle because they like Seattle, wiser thing to do to let people work
Yep.
from afar. Stretch, I don't know where in America has lower cost of living, but certainly not
No.
Seattle.
Yeah.
If you let people move further away and use Zoom or Skype, or
Yep.
not Skype, let's be real, um, like use ways to talk to people
Yes.
online, that's going to reduce, like, you won't have to travel anymore. You can
Hmm.
live somewhere with cheaper rent, you can live somewhere with
Yes.
cheaper food. You're more likely to be able to raise, a family if you need to, um, outside of Seattle. And I think that's, unfortunately, at the moment, the people up top in Paizo
Yep.
are very counter to that idea. But because of the push that Paizo Accountability has given, we are more likely to see that come true. And we can hope.
And they've proven like so currently if you're listening to this in the far future and this is all over, I'm so envious of you.
Man,
But
that'd be great.
right, yeah, currently the all through the pandemic's not over, so I don't want to say in past tense. The beginning part of the pandemic, there was a fear that there would be delays and stuff. And until this summer, they met every one of their goals. They hadn't missed
Hmm.
a thing, and then things outside of their control, paper shortage,
Yeah, it literally
literally,
was not the writers.
yes. They proved that they could perform remotely. Showing up at the office, that is such a such a old timey thing. Like we've proven that it's doable. If you don't trust your people, that says more about you than it does your people. Like the people, I watch developer diaries for both Starfinder and Pathfinder. I watch the YouTube videos of people talking about their products, teasing the books. Those bastards. Um,
Shakes fist at sky.
I was literally shaking my fist. So they've proven they don't need to be in an office. That whole like
Hmm.
office mentality, it's as anachronistic as smoke breaks, like it's
Hmm.
doable. It's better for the people. Sure, it's a bummer you don't get to see your pals. Have company retreats.
Yeah, like
You let
it's
people live.
doable.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not gonna offer all the variables and ways they can
Mhm.
save money. They know. They know
They just
exactly.
need they just need to actually sit down and do it, because I
Yes.
think that's the big thing. There are so many solutions,
Yeah.
but unless pressure is constantly applied, those, like, I am, like, my biggest worry is that they're gonna think, outrage has died down. Let's not worry about it anymore. No, there needs to, like, continue to be pressure
Yep.
until, like, until the people that I am speaking to, like from inside and previously inside, are
Sure.
content with, like, how things are. I'm going to keep pushing, and I'm going to encourage I know people like Cody Garrett Wells are not going to give up anytime soon.
No.
Um, and I think that's good. I think that needs to keep happening, and that needs to keep being a force that we are like applying to Paizo.
Mhm.
I don't think boycotting the books is going to be feasible, because if we boycott the books, the people who are hit are the developers, right?
Yes.
The
Yep.
developers and the freelancers. That's the people who are going to get just not hired in the future.
Yeah. The
Um,
people that already have the money because they're at the top, they're just gonna start cutting out the little people
mhm,
to save their boat from sinking, and it sounds
exactly.
like those people up top are living pretty high on the hog even before joining the thing. So, like,
Yeah.
we're only hurting the people who have to, cram books,
Mhm.
writing books.
That's the
The
big thing.
Yeah, the people who are taking, every freelancing opportunity on top of, uh, crafting this beautiful multiverse? Shared universe?
I'd say a multiverse. There's
Okay.
multiple verses in it.
Yeah. So, like, these people are, bending over backwards, taking up
Mhm.
any not any writing position, but they are stretched so thin with
Mhm.
freelancing work that things things like it
Mhm.
they're all talented, so, anywhere they go is great, but, like, you could just treat them
Yeah.
well.
And
Like,
that's where we come in, because really
yeah,
the if the solution isn't boycott, then the
mhm,
solution is the threat of bad publicity,
yeah,
right?
yep,
Because now when you look up Paizo, hashtag Paizo accountability is one of the first things that comes up.
yep,
And that's a good thing, I feel.
mhm, yeah,
Um, and I think that specter should continue to loom until
exactly,
things are at least fixed to a degree where people who are struggling are no longer struggling as much. You
exactly,
know?
yes, yep, absolutely, yeah, this shouldn't be like, "Oh, Paizo is good and always has been good," like, no, there
No,
was the
absolutely
dark
not.
time, and
There
I've
and even like this is not. We have known for a while that they've like upper management has been shady. Like
yeah,
I've always like I remember God last year you mentioned that there was like stuff like sexual harassment that you knew last year.
yeah,
There were stuff that I'd heard about transphobia last year, and I
yes,
was
yep,
kind of perturbed by that. But
yes,
I was
yep.
hoping it was a small enough issue that, well, it's everywhere. So I get, well, apparently it's not that
Yep,
small. It's
100%. Yep, I know who you're talking, and I'm not
mhm,
gonna like name
yeah,
dropping is doesn't do anyone any favors. But there were trans women coming forward saying, stuff like it's real interesting how the trans women are jumping ship as, as quick as possible, like almost
yep,
verbatim that tweet. Um, it's yeah, it's across the board. Like it wasn't even a closely guarded secret. It was people that got out and were able to vent a little, and things slipped out.
mhm,
Meanwhile, people I've become to consider pals are just like trying to like drop vague hints at things, and now like I think back on some conversations I've had in the last year. I'm like, oh, you know what? I think they were hinting at stuff, but
yeah,
now's not the time to be like, "Hey, when you said this last June, were you meaning?" And I'm that person in my head, but I'm not. They have enough on their plates right now. So all that to say, like, keep up the pressure.
mhm,
Is there any other advice you can give? I did see a lot of talk about seeking out individuals at the
mhm.
company's crowdfunding, Patreon, coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if the big things that you can do if you're a listener and you're trying to figure out, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? Literally tweeting out Paizo accountability, like if it's even just that word, right? Hashtag
Mhm,
Paizo accountability. Even that is like enough to start. If you
mhm,
want to do more, absolutely, you should seek out people, freelancers especially. Freelancers, I'm not going to talk too much on the situation, but there is more going on behind the scenes with
sure,
freelancers
of
right now.
course. Mhm,
And in the near future, and even the present, they're going to need even more support than they are already getting.
okay.
So seek out Paizo employees and especially freelancers who like we have retweeted a lot of them in the past. If you want to like check out on our Twitter, you'll see a lot of retweets of freelancers. They're also in the hashtag. If you have the money, like find out who made your favorite thing. The
Yes.
person who made the Knights of Last Wall is Isabel Torn, and she's a freelancer. and
Yeah.
she makes other stuff, and you can go support her.
Mhm.
There's Jessica Redcap. There's I think I completely butchered that pronunciation, but whatever. Sorry, Jess. There's people out there that you can and should support, as
Mhm.
well as the Paizo employees, if you have the money. If you don't, and you're not in a position to give money, which is fair because we live in a hell planet,
Yes.
um, I would just suggest keeping the pressure on every once in a while. Go into the Paizo accountability hashtag and retweet some stuff. Quote retweet if you want.
Mhm.
Tweet your own stuff, whatever. Just keep the pressure on and keep pushing at it, because really the worst possible outcome for this is that executives think that the outrage has died down and they stop. They
Yes.
they think we've done enough now. Sorry, employees, back to grinding your bones to make book pulp with.
Yep.
So keep it up and don't just keep, even if it's you worried you're annoying people. I was really worried we were going to annoy a lot of people when we started because we tweeted a lot about it in the
Mhm.
first few days.
Yeah.
No one was annoyed.
Good.
Everyone was very supportive, and they will probably be supportive of you too. So, keep it up, keep pushing. We'll probably retweet your stuff if you tweet about it.
Yes. And a very just this is an emotional helpful thing to do is a lot of what I'm seeing is people are looking at their books, seeing names, seeing employees, finding their Twitter accounts, and saying a good word on their behalf
Hmm.
about them, about their work, about you see mention of this person made this, and like I really love that. Thank you so much for including that. There's so much, and the folks that are dealing with this, not in the office. I don't think they're in offices. I don't think they're in offices. I feel like they're probably in offices, but like yes, Paizo accountability is great to have, but also like that those individual shout outs. If you feel like you can't give money, spend a little bit of emotional labor and let the
Hmm.
people know by name that you're there with them. You stand by
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, exactly. I think recently a someone released a list of the freelancers who worked on Lost Owens Bazaar.
Oh, cool.
You'll find that at Twitter user at who tweeted this. You can go in, you will find so many freelancers and developers who worked on making stuff for that book. Go in, tell them, hey, I really like your work. Because by the time this episode is out, I think that'll be out.
Oh, good.
Um, you can go and support them and tell them, hey, you did really cool on this. That robot wheelchair that has laser guns, I liked it.
Oh, the combat the
I'm
wheelchair.
very excited for that.
Yeah, the Starfinder got hover
Mhm.
chairs, and
Oh, hell yeah.
I have a little one-on-one game of a young lady who's going to be guesting on the pod. She has cerebral palsy,
Hmm.
and from jump, she wanted her character to be in a chair. I'm like, of course, yeah, I don't care. It's like, okay, well, we'll work out how it works. Like, however you tell me it works, I'm fine with it. Now I have rules from I don't know
Hmm.
her full name, but Mustangs Art on Twitter.
Oh, I love
uh
her.
yeah, she's done great work, and so little burble of a gush there because she's been pushing that and all the other stuff she's dealt with. And Paizo straight up like, hey, so that's another like they'll bring in this person who the other company didn't really do so hot with at all.
By which you mean they stole their work and didn't credit them? Yep, that's a whole thing. Yep,
Yeah,
that was a
I'm
whole thing.
that was so and then
Ooh.
Paizo like, oh no, both of our big properties are going to have your stuff in it, and I imagine uh she's paid
At
well
least some.
enough to keep going and doing the
Hmm.
things and fighting for the stuff, and then doing other work. She's constantly working, but
Hmm.
and then like the disability aspect of it hasn't been talked about. Like that's another intersection of identity that Paizo claims
Hmm.
to champion. I'm prepping I'm prepping Space Kingmaker. That's not its actual
Hmm.
book title. Horizons of the Vast.
Yeah,
It's
I'm very
basically
excited. I'm very excited to see that one in play.
I'm assembling a stream. Oh, okay. I guess I just announced that. Um,
Now, well, see what you have to do now is announce it before then.
Yeah. So yeah, I got some people. They're eager anyway. One of the main NPCs on the front cover of the first book is a dude with mobility aids on
Mhm.
their arms, and I'm like, that kind of shit just like fires me up. It's so awesome. And then
Yeah,
and then
the new in Pathfinder, the new, Taumaturge iconic,
uh-huh.
has leg braces.
Oh, dope.
Like, it just it's really good to see it happening, and
Hmm.
that's really why I'm worried about people who are like, "Oh, boycott Paizo," because all that's going to accomplish in the, like, long term, other than maybe the closing down of Paizo, which, cool, is the first people are gonna get hit is the people who are putting this kind of stuff in, and they're
Yep.
not gonna have anywhere else they can platform this kind of fantasy, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. It's gonna be more of the, oh, magic can fix it all. Uh,
Oh god.
I fucking hate it.
Oh
I'm
god.
going. Yeah, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Just like fight for the people who have fought and struggled and suffered for our entertainment. Like that. That's a
Mhm.
gross. That's not a gross. Doesn't make me feel great to think of it in that terms. But that's what pushes me a bleeding heart into action. So yeah, and I'll be posting any of the links. I've been writing little notes here of things to put.
Mhm.
Just keep up the pressure, folks.
Mhm.
We can make the change. Like this is like a thing that like this isn't. We're not going to fix climate change. Spoiler. But
Whoopsie daisy.
we can fix this. But Another reason why Derry's hanging out with me today. The way I shot my shot. I think that's the term. I'm not cool. I'm
Mhm.
not hip.
It's something like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's that.
There's a shot
There's
involved
a shot that
anyway.
was taken at some point.
Yeah, and throwing away things. I don't know. But Derry, you're on top of all this great work. You're putting out a module. You
Yeah,
crazy person. What's going
it
on with
was,
that?
um I'm putting out a module that I was about to announce the day after, Paizo accountability started. I was like, "Uh-oh." Um, but yeah, no, I'm putting out a module, and it's one that I'm really excited. It's Safe Haven, a weird West tale. It's an adventure that's going to be, by the time this is published, I'd say it'll be live on Kickstarter, or if not, it'll be in very late stages of pre-launch. It is a Wild West themed module for Pathfinder Second Edition and Dungeons and Dragons Fifth Edition. Not Starfinder. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't really work team wise. Well, actually, I'll talk about that in a second.
Oh.
Um, so this is actually based on a game that I ran myself for some of my friends back in the latest days of Pathfinder First Edition and the very beginning of the Pathfinder Second Edition playtest. Um, and it's a Wild West themed adventure, which it's weird. The whole plan the whole premise is that a few hundred years ago there was some magic war. No one's really documented it because why bother? All that they know is that it happened, and the magic war was that they had was so big and rambunctious that it kind of screwed the world over permanently. The environment completely collapsed. Half the world is radiated wastelands, and the other half is slightly less radioactive deserts. Um, Magic has all but fallen apart. You'll still have like wizards, like sometimes, but they're nowhere near as like powerful as like the archmages who were able to like create the ancient history of this world. So what we are left with is a world which relies more on artifice than arcana.
Mm.
Um, so you've got instead of teleportation gates, you've got locomotives. Instead of magic glowing crystals shedding light, you've got streetlights. And instead of sorcerers and wizards and whatever, you're more likely to meet gunslingers. This was very, very sneakily timed to come out. The Kickstarter to start around the launch of Guns and Gears.
Mhm.
But it's a module which really promotes guns and gears. Like inventors and gunslingers will be perfect choices for characters in this place, as well as any of the archetypes that are going to be in the Guns and Gears sourcebook, which I also think should be out by the time that this interview is out.
It will
Um,
definitely, yeah,
October
October 12th,
13th.
yeah, October
Yeah,
12th is when you go live. This will definitely be
that's
up
right.
before then. I will make sure of that.
Okay, cool. Well, it'll be out a few days after
Yep.
this interview then.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and like, God, I read through Guns and Gears and I already have character ideas for like stuff I want to try,
Mhm.
this would be an excellent place to try them out. Without spoiling the story, as it were, it's about a group of travelers, or maybe they're locals, or maybe whatever,
Mhm.
in a little town called Safe Haven. And this peaceful town is kind of thrown into chaos when, spoiler, the sheriff is murdered, and on the eve of a goblin attack. Um, so it doesn't look like the goblins killed him, but it's almost like the goblins who like came in and robbed the local bank and are like, "We're goblins, go to hell." It's almost like they were a cover, you know.
Mhm.
And it's this mystery of who shot the sheriff, you know, which spirals into like deeper conspiracy and figuring out like there's something going on in Safe Haven and the towns around it.
Mhm.
There, it talks a lot about anti-capitalism and anti-colonialism. If you haven't noticed, I'm pretty passionate about that topic.
Yeah.
um, like the whole idea of settlers treating native people no worse than animals, right? That's going to be something that is touched on. I feel a lot of Wild West stories just ignore that natives existed because they feel bad about genocide. um I don't We try not to shy away from it here because it is a thing that happened in our real life, and if you're going to make a story which capitalizes off it, like off the setting, you're gonna have to talk about the ugly stuff too, you know.
Yeah.
But more like it's not just a political ham-fisted uh genocide bad, which obviously it is. Um, it's a murder mystery,
Yeah.
and it's a conspiracy going into your town and towns around you, both old and dead, and also ones that just are inhabited by monsters and like weird creatures that completely do not trust you because obvious reasons.
Yep.
Um, and of course, actual native people, they're not monsters. I'm not doing the thing where like, don't, oh yes, our allegory for native people are monsters. Oh, we are so forward thinking. No, we don't. No.
Good on you
Um,
for learning the lessons Hollywood still refuses to.
yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Well, you don't be worried. We definitely have a white man playing native person in it. That's a joke. That's a joke. We would not. Um, But something else that is going to be coming out, because obviously this Kickstarter will be going on from October 12th to I think November 11th.
Mhm.
So you'll be able to drop in and either order a PDF or a copy of the book for either Pathfinder or D&D.
Mhm.
But on top of that, there's also on October 17th, I'm going to be releasing a kind of prequel,
Oh.
a one-shot module for Free RPG Day.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
this is going to be, it's called Lights in the Sky, Weird West Tale. And this is why I kind of alluded to Starfinder earlier.
Mhm.
It's about a town very close to Safe Haven. You can use it as a prequel. It is a level lower than the module itself, the module runs from 5th to 8th. This one shot is just level 4, just do it in one session.
Nice.
Um, it's about a local town which is usually very calm, but there have been weird goings on, weird lights in the sky, and strange shapes in the cornfields. And now animals are being abducted, and weird shapes are being seen in the night. Could it be aliens?
Oh, I hope it's
Uh,
aliens. I hope it's aliens
we can
so
hope it's
hard.
aliens. Um, the setting, Wistoria as a whole, I wanted it to really like ooze Weird West. You can see that on the cover of Safe Haven, where it's two Utah raptors pulling a wagon as a giant scorpion with drills for hands is like unearthing out of the sand after them, chasing them. Lights in the Sky is going to be a great teaser for that. If you want to try it out, see what the setting is like, and give yourself something to do with those brand new gunslinging characters you've got. Lights in the Sky will be there for you very soon if you want to have a kind of Wild West Scooby Doo alien adventure.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask, the, level ranges. So level 4 for the
Mhm,
prequel,
mhm,
the one shot, leading up to, and then, 5 through 8,
mhm.
and that's both
That's the
systems?
working. It's
Sure.
both systems, yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So I do have a question, it may be outdated information. So my memory of, Dice Will Roll chats, at the table in the episodes, you did art, you did comics.
That's right. Yes, I have a degree in animation and illustration.
Now, will any of your art or any of the others' art be in this? Um,
That's my secret, Don. It's all my art.
is it? Oh, okay, cool. I
Yeah.
have it. Okay, that's so awesome.
It's this the reason behind me making this book was like
Mhm.
I need to buff up my portfolio. I just need to put more art. What's something I can do to have an excuse to make more art?
Uh-huh.
And this was why I stumbled on. I was like, yeah, I'll just convert that old thing I was making and actually use it in the world. And now I'll have to draw lots of characters and lots of places.
Uh-huh.
I'm not drawing maps because I can't do maps. I'm going to be using Incarnate for that, which thank
Perfect.
God they have a commercial license because
Yep.
I tried to draw a map. I looked at the map and I was like,
Yep. Yep.
that's not going to look good in a book I'm selling for people.
I am so glad that that's your art. That was one of
Mm,
the first thoughts I had because, like, I don't know. I follow the podcast. I listen to you. I follow social
mm,
media. Like, I don't. I never really asked like, how's the comic stuff, the art stuff
mm,
going? Because art isn't my thing. Just because I have
mm.
zero talent with it. So that is so fucking cool that it's your art as well. I just love that so
Yeah.
much. That's
I That's one thing
kudos.
as well is to go into the Weird West vibe. I wanted it to be visually distinct to anything you're going to see in other
Hmm.
TTRPG stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like very like oh god how it's hyper stylized, I guess the best way is of putting it.
That's a good. Yeah.
It looks very much so like a comic or a cartoon, with like really sharp lines and bright, vibrant colors. It's not like it doesn't look like the paintings you might see in other stuff. It is meant to be eye catchy. It's meant to be nice to look at, and I'm going to be shoving so much art into this book. So even if you don't want to run the adventure, hopefully, like some of the designs and stuff in it will be, a cool inspiration because like I have a cyborg who is a dinosaur rancher, and God, oh, of course, my favorite NPCs, the old lady and her lesbian lizard wife, who I love those two dearly. They
Okay.
own a shop, and that's their thing.
I'm looking at the art again, and of course it's your art. It's the same for your VTuber,
Yeah,
Cran.
Cran TV. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fucking cool. That I mean, good job on you for double dipping on talent on your own self. But god damn, that's awesome. Yeah, I cannot wait.
Thank you.
I have it reminded. Because of this, I'll definitely have it out before then. I'll probably have it out this weekend, to be honest, because I may just dump because I have this chat. I have Crifu Bernal where we talk Manapot and some more of that, and then another homebrew Starfinder. I may just have this weekend be 3 episodes of very long chats, and
I
I
mean,
just
yeah.
fucking love it. So Kickstarter definitely, and I'll be
Mhm.
promoting the living
Yeah.
hell out of this. It's
Mhm.
gonna be and
You can find a link to that on again our Twitter at Dice Will Roll.
yep.
It's in pre-launch right now, so if you go to the link, which is in our pinned tweet, you'll be able to sign up and get a notification to your
Hmm.
email the day it goes live. And then, I mean, like, listen, we're going to be just. I'm going to be extremely annoying all through October. I'm very sorry to everyone
No,
because we will just be promoting that as often as possible.
yeah, and I will be looking forward to it. I know enough of Pathfinder 2E that I could probably run this at least the one shot. So
Mhm.
I'm
Well,
going
the one
to.
shot you'll be happy to know is very RP heavy. So
Oh, love it. Okay, cool. Yeah.
you'll even if you know next to nothing about Pathfinder, I think there's like 2 or 3 combats total. Most of it is role play and investigation stuff.
Oh, fantastic. So yeah, I'll commit myself now. Those that like my GMing style, such as it is, stay tuned October 17th.
That's right, yes.
I am going to be running folks through this one shot. So
Woo!
hit me up, please. I just want, yeah, and I like playing Pathfinder. It's a fun thing to play. I don't think I've ever I no, that's not true. I GM'd a couple sessions of an AP and it did not go well because it was my very first GMing
Yeah.
ever.
I mean, listen, you didn't add level to damage, so you
No,
did
no, but
some stuff right.
I crit and killed the druid's animal companion before they got to Kintargo in Hell's Rebels. I did a
Ooh.
thing. Okay, so just real quick. So I was like, "Oh no, you're not just going to arrive in the city. You're familiar with Hell's Rebels?"
Yeah, actually
Okay.
ran Hell's Rebels. It's,
Okay.
my favorite adventure path.
It's great.
Yeah.
I only played. I didn't even get to the second event. So before we get to
Oh,
Kintargo, I'm like, oh no, you're going to be on the ship headed to there, and I was like setting up the world, setting up the appearance
no!
and that,
Mhm.
and they're like, can we hit stuff? And I'm like, tell you what, sure. A rowboat of goblin pirates show up, and they're like on ice floes, shooting at you with crossbows, and I crit and killed the druid's wolf companion.
No!
Yes. And I'm like, they were like, no, 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 don't fudge your rolls. I'm like, it was my first GMing experience. I'm like, okay, I won't fudge anything. I'll roll out in the open. I confirmed a nat 20 with a nat 20,
Mhm.
and that's insta death in their home.
Mhm.
Like I didn't have home rules. I played their home rules. So because that's what
Yeah.
I was, yeah. And I'm like, um, ah, so so I haven't honestly ran a GM session since that day. They got to the city. They didn't even get to the
The big protest.
yeah, they didn't even get to the protest. They just got to the
Ooh.
tavern because I'm like, okay, you need to patch yourselves up before you go to the. Oh boy, that just brought back
Oh
memories.
dear, oh dear. Yeah, no, I can. I mean, listen. I feel I've told this story a million times, but a while ago I tried to get some of my IRL friends to play some Pathfinder,
Uh-huh.
and now they wanted to do a kobold only game, and I was like, sure, this will be
Yeah.
great. And I basically just let them go wherever they wanted. It was in the Swordlands, and it was
Oh
me
yeah.
cheating in it and studying in advance for Extinction Curse when they would go. My party would go there, so I just
Mhm.
let them go wherever. They go to a town, like literally day one. They go to a town. I make a joke about how there's a fishing mini game. They go on the lake. They really want to catch a big fish and fight it. I shrug and say sure, and I put a level appropriate monster against them, and it's a TPK. It's a They all died, and I have been traumatized by anytime someone says the words fishing me. They wanted to die at that point. Like when they realized, hey, we're losing, they start chanting TPK, and I was here like, I'm in hell.
Yes.
This is hell, and I'm being punished.
How dare you try to mix worlds? Your IRL friends don't get to play. The
So that's
hubris.
yeah. Listen, that's on me, honestly.
That's amazing. So that's everything and more covered on my end. Uh, check out Dice Will Roll, everyone. Listen to them.
Thank you.
Kingmaker is a fantastic story. Extinction Curse is fun. It's silly. Your music choices. You don't even have a
Mhm.
video game to steal from with Extinction Curse.
Yeah, no,
And
this one all goes down to Music D20. You
uh-huh.
can find him. His music is unbelievably good. He
Yeah.
makes, I think, like a new song every 2 weeks,
Yep.
and it's all for tabletop, and it's all incredible. It's yeah,
Yeah.
blows us out of the water every time.
Very good. Your cast are all lovely people, and like I don't have like a personal connection with any of you, but like
Mm.
just the love at the table, it's like so pure. It's so good, so gay, and I just love it to pieces. Everyone get out there. I don't. I almost said get out the vote because I'm
Oh yeah.
American. But
I mean, there is a vote coming up where we're in an awards thing, but like I don't for the
oh,
Audioverse Awards, we've been nominated for some stuff. So I guess you can go
congrats.
out and vote.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was leading into Paizo stuff, but yeah, Audioverse is
Mm.
already putting stuff out or already nominated. Okay, cool. Yeah, I will definitely be retweeting the hell out of that because so good, such good,
Thank
such
you.
love it to death. You are a wonderful human being. Um,
Thank you.
Retweet, tweet, donate what you can, spread the word,
Mhm.
spread the
Mhm.
love, and check out Safe Haven October 12th, Kickstarter.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be like mildly annoying because just signal boosting it because like I all I have is these episodes coming out and sometimes I do one shots. So like expect like it won't be for lack of trying that my audience doesn't know when and updates on this. So yeah, that is all for me. Derry, thank you so much for hanging out
Thank you
and
so much.
love to do it again some other time.
Anytime.
Awesome.